Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the meeting of Cabinet of Staffordshire County Council today, Wednesday, the 17th of July. Agenda item number 1, apologies. Mr. Bradbury, do we have any apologies for absence?
Good morning, Leader. Just the one apology from Councillor Price.
Agenda item 2, declarations of interest in accordance with Standing Order 16. Are there any declarations of interest? For the record, nobody is indicating. Agenda item number 3, decision notice of the meeting held on the 19th of June 2024. Is it your wish that I sign that off as a correct record of the meeting? For the record, that's all in favour. Agenda item number 5 are the minutes of the meeting of the Property Subcommittee held on the 3rd of July 2024. Thank you, Councillor DeVille. Agenda item number 6 says Staffordshire means back to business, but I've missed out agenda item number 4, which is the Leader's Oral Report. One of those mornings, ladies and gentlemen, one of those mornings. So I'm going to go back to agenda item number 4 and give that a whirl now. Whilst the weather seems like it can't make up its mind, in the next few days, families across Staffordshire start their summer holidays as we reach the end of another school year. As a dad, I know it can be a huge challenge to keep everyone busy and entertained over the holidays, but Staffordshire is a fantastic place to explore, and as a council, we're investing to make sure it is a place you can enjoy and be proud of. You may have heard that we're investing £18 million into some of Staffordshire's best-loved green spaces in the coming years, including improved facilities at the Visitor Centre on Marquis Drive, upgrading the Innovation Centre and South Shore area at Chasewater, and improving the Staffordshire Way. These are all places on your doorsteps that are well worth a visit. Councillor Wilson will be able to give you more details in due course, and I know that Councillor Wilson has actually had a go at walking the Staffordshire Way, so very well done. We're investing in our library services, one of the biggest live projects being the £1.3 million refurbishment of Burton Library, where people will see an improved space for creativity, learning and socialising, as well as better computer access. This is in addition to the investment we've already made at libraries in Codsall, Lichfield, Tamworth, Stafford and Newcastle. If you've not taken part in the Summer Reading Challenge before, this year's theme is Marvellous Makers. It's free to take part and it's running at all 43 libraries across the county. Last year, over 10,500 children took part, and I would encourage as many children as possible to enjoy the endeavour. Bookings are now also open for our holiday activities and food programme, where thousands of eligible children can take part in a wide range of activities over the summer, from horse riding to computer clubs, and get a nutritious hot meal too. There are over 100 clubs across the county this year. And if that's not enough, our Enjoy Staffordshire tourism team have pulled together 30 days out for the county for less than £30. You can find more details in the Enjoy Staffordshire website. I think I ought to be in advertising. And the Deputy Leader is now crossing out vast swathes of his Staffordshire Means Man's business update, because I didn't tell him I was going to mention it. We are only able to make investments like these because we're a well-run council with a balanced budget. Many other councils are not in this position. Of course, when the summer is done, the kids head back to school and some start their school journey for the first time. It's a really important and exciting time for them. Our Little Heroes campaign, which is rolling out across the county's schools, encourages and rewards children for going to school because the evidence shows that high attendance leads to better results and better opportunities in life. And really, I would implore people to make sure their children attend school. It's a vital component of their upbringing. It sets them up for life, and really, the best way to be successful in life is by attending school. The main reason why we're investing significant amounts of money into schools is to ensure that children have a school place when they need one. With a £56 million programme of works this financial year to expand school buildings and build brand new ones. We'll see 4 new primary schools open in September, one in Stafford, 2 in Tamworth and 1 in Burton. And planning permission has also just been granted for another 2. I'm looking forward to seeing these new schools take shape and celebrating the achievements of the children who go there. And with that, I'd like to wish everyone a very happy Staffordshire summer and move to the first item of business, which is Staffordshire Means Back to Business, which has been truncated as a result of the Leader's statement. Deputy Leader, Councillor Philip White, if you could give us your update.
Yeah, thank you for that, Leader. So As colleagues know, I usually like to start these updates with the latest universal credit claimant count figures. However, this month the figures have not been published as yet. So what I wanted to do instead was take the opportunity with the change in national government just to have a little bit of an overview of the state of the Staffordshire economy and some of the priority areas that we hope to work with national government on going forwards over the next few years. So following a general election period, it is really important that that we're engaging with government so that they can understand the needs of our residents and so that they can make sure that their economic policy is delivered in a way that works for Staffordshire people. Now, the Staffordshire economy is doing well. Those universal claimant credit counts that I mentioned demonstrate that we have a long-term, significantly better employment position than both the national and the regional averages. Unemployment in Staffordshire is low. It is easy to get a job here. Similarly, over recent years, due in part to good government policy from our outgoing Chancellor, it's important to note as we sit here today, we've had the announcements today that inflation continues at its trend rate, which has been brought down from those historic highs. And our economy nationally is growing faster than countries like Italy, France and Germany. So thank you to national government for that. Locally, our work with our businesses means that we have seen over the last decade significant increases in productivity, jobs, as I've mentioned, skill levels, start-up rates, and the general health of our economy is very good. So it remains clear that Staffordshire is a place that government should be interested in and a place where they should be working very hard to support what we are doing. In terms of priorities, continued investment in our infrastructure is key, and we will be particularly keen to highlight to national government the importance of our work on the 5500 growth corridor, which, as we all know, has a significant part in Staffordshire but stretches from Cheshire all the way across to East Midlands Airport, just into Leicestershire. It is one of the most important green growth corridors in the entire country, particularly due to innovation in hydrogen. And in that respect, within Staffordshire, it has been particularly notable in recent weeks that JCB has announced another major investment, £100 million plus, in pioneering hydrogen as a fuel solution for construction and agricultural machines. And they've showcased the first hydrogen generator that can provide clean power to construction sites and other out-of-the-way sites that will not get connected to a national grid. Really important work, innovation and manufacturing of these solutions here in Staffordshire. And these technologies are fundamental to our national ambitions to reach net zero, but to do so in a way that benefits people and their pockets rather than hurting them. Something which I'm sure national government will be keen to do in terms of their green policies. Supporting people to gain higher levels of skills and qualifications is also extremely important and has been one of our priorities here for many years. Our economic strategy and our skills strategy are the driving force behind our work to do that in a way that suits local needs. And I'm pleased to say that since 2011, as a result of that work, we have 80,000 more residents in Staffordshire who have a degree level qualification. That is a significant improvement on the skills levels that we saw in previous decades. In addition to that, although like most areas of the country, all areas of the country, in fact, we've seen a decrease in the overall rates of apprenticeships, something which we hope government will again address. We have seen a dramatic increase in the number of higher level apprenticeships in Staffordshire, which have increased by over 50% since 2018-2019. So again, that drive towards higher skill levels is very much being taken up by businesses here in Staffordshire. In furnishing that and providing the infrastructure that is required for that to continue, the development of our Institute of Technology is a key element in that, and we look forward to hopefully bringing forward further proposals to enhance that Institute of Technology in terms of hydrogen and green power in due course. I'd also like to highlight the support that this council gives to our apprenticeship graduation awards ceremony, which happened last week, and I thank my cabinet colleague Jonathan Price who spoke at that awards ceremony in my stead, as I was unable to be there. The value that apprenticeships offer to our economy is massive. Last month I highlighted the importance of our visitor economy, and the leader of the council has spoken on this and somewhat stolen my thunder, but I will just highlight the continued success of our restaurants and hostelries, and particularly the ongoing success of Tom Shepherd in Lichfield, which has won the Best Newcomer Award at the prestigious Cathays Awards, an international award, and another plaudit for Staffordshire, putting us on the map. Finally, I will just highlight again, because it's worth saying twice, our 30 Family Days Out for Under 30 campaign here in Staffordshire. The leader mentioned it, but it is well worth mentioning again. Staffordshire is a vast place with an enormous visitor economy, and at the slightly higher spending end of the scale, you can visit some of the finest theme parks and gardens and other attractions in the country. But there are many other things that you can do that don't require that spend across the whole of the county. And if you Google our 30 Family Days Out in Staffordshire campaign, you will find things in your area that you can do that aren't quite so hard on your pocket, but are certainly very good fun. And as the parent of a 3-year-old who's going to have a bit of time on his hands, I'm looking forward to looking into some of those over the summer myself. And with that, I'll hand back to you, Leader.
Thank you very much indeed. Agenda item number 7 is Digital Innovation Strategy for Staffordshire County Council, brought to you by the Cabinet Member for Finance and Resources, Councillor Parry.
Thank you, Leader. Good morning, everyone. So this is our strategy for digital, and I think this presents one of the most exciting, if not the most exciting, I would claim, opportunities for the Council and for Staffordshire residents moving forward. It gives an opportunity to enhance, engage with new technologies to transform services, to improve quality of life for residents, to present a better connectivity, etc. To start with, we'd like to encourage residents to explore with us the opportunities of the gigabyte intranet that's now available through providers and working with our own Gigabyte Staffordshire team. But internally, of course, we've got a number of pilots that we're working on. We've engaged with staff to ensure that our team here in Staffordshire are aware of and can start to explore the opportunities that digital technologies such as AI, such as machine learning, will present. It's difficult. It's difficult to set out a plan that you know will likely to be out of date pretty quickly as technology becomes ever faster moving. We've now, I think, established a position, a starting point where we're prepared to take some moderate risks around testing and piloting, and being prepared to withdraw and fail moderately in those engagements. We want to encourage that level of innovation within the organisation, but we don't want to be blinded by a sweet shop kind of mentality where we just want to pull at things and overwhelm ourselves. So therefore we have a strategy here which is intended to provide that roadmap moving forward as to how and on what basis we want to take technologies forward. There is a reasonable opportunity. There's a real opportunity here for Staffordshire to be pretty much at the forefront in local government in terms of taking on those technologies and transforming some of the things that we do. It's hard to realise any area of the council that this could not reach, that could not touch, and it's difficult to realise how we would not or could not improve so many services and so many aspects of residents' lives. It is potentially the next kind of area of the next revolution since probably the introduction of the World Wide Web. I think I think the technologies that are emerging now will really enhance what we do in Staffordshire. It will allow us to reduce costs. It will allow us to improve services. It will allow us to, I think, improve quality of life for many residents. So I've got some recommendations, Leader, but I'm prepared. Very happy to take questions.
Nobody indicating, but I'd just like to point out the amount of work that's gone into this. And sometimes people sort of are tempted to oversimplify what the digital revolution might mean for them. I've lost count of the number of people who think they're into digital because they use a computer or a mobile phone. Actually, it's far more than that. We're still getting to grips with what AI can do. There are various AI tools available for various tasks to be achieved. For example, if you're taking notes on a digital notepad, you can use Opus 3 to convert those notes into a blog that you can then publish at almost no effort at all. So the available productivity, or the productivity available to you, is absolutely huge. And as we discover what power these tools have, we can apply them judiciously to those parts of the council that would benefit from their use. Anybody else, any comments before I go back to Councillor Parry for the recommendations? Councillor Parry, we're back with you.
Recommendations, Leader. Recommendations are to note the draft report on the Staffordshire's digital innovation strategy, to note the high-level timescales for the publication, to note the proposed governance and approach for implementation of the strategy, and finally to delegate authority to the Director of Corporate Services to make any final amendments to the strategy before its final publication.
All those in favour? Agreed. For the record, that's unanimous. Agenda item number 8, Children and Young People's Emotional Health and Wellbeing Service, brought to you by the Cabinet Member for Children and Young People, Councillor Sutton.
Thank you, Leader. Good morning, colleagues. Every child in Staffordshire and every young person deserves to have the opportunity for the best start in life and be able to achieve their potential. And one of the key parts of this is that ensuring that that their emotional health and well-being is as good as it could be. Our current emotional health and wellbeing service is jointly commissioned with the Integrated Care Board with Health for people listening, and it is working well. But the contract is coming to an end, and it is clear that we will need to commission a new service from the 31st of March of next year. So we need to build on some of the positives about the current service that is delivered by Action for Children, and work to procure a new service and work on some of the areas that we do need to try and include. One of those being one of the things that was identified by our latest Ofsted inspection was the mental well-being of children in our care. So that is something that we need to look at. As we move forward, we have looked at a number of different options about how to do this, and this paper isn't about agreeing who is going to have that contract or exactly what way that contract is going to work. It's to give the authority for that work to take place so that we can procure a new contract going forward with the integrated care board. So there are a number of options in the paper of how that will work, and what is being recommended today is option 3 in there. So option 3 in that report details our proposed approach. So it'll have some clear and enhanced prioritisation. There will be consultation with the care market around care experienced and other vulnerable children and young people, i.e. the stuff that was identified by Ofsted will take a whole family approach and adopt a restorative practice model and will be evidence-based and trauma-informed and attachment aware. There will be challenges in doing this. We want to keep within the current financial framework, which is just under £1 million, and we must ensure that the new service doesn't avoids any duplication with other help and support there is for children with emotional health and well-being issues across the country, i.e. some of the services that are provided within schools. So in a little bit more detail, the actual option 3 would be to procure a new emotional health and wellbeing service for children and young people. Have some improvements to the specification that we will be working on together with the ICB. It will take on board some of the success of what the current service has been offering over the last period of time. Take opportunity to make changes where we feel that they will enhance what is provided. Obviously provide market competition and better value for money where we can, and he mitigates any risks of delay to children and young people within the whole of the system improvement. The service is for children that have mild and moderate emotional well-being issues. It is not a replacement for the CAMS service. This is more of a preventative low-level service before children are deemed to medically need a CAMS input. And one of the aims always will be is to try and ensure and prevent children escalating to those sort of levels. So that's a quick run through of what the proposals are. Happy to take any questions before we get to the recommendations of the report. Thank you, Leader.
Nobody's indicating, Councillor Sutton, so I think we're back with you straight for the recommendations, please.
Yes, will probably take me as long to read out as it took me to give a resume of the report. So the recommendations in the report are: I recommend that Cabinet A approves the recommendations for Staffordshire County Council to jointly commission with the Integrated Care Board a new children and young people's emotional health and wellbeing service based on option 3. B, approves the commencement of a competitive tender process in accordance with the Public Contracts Regulations 2015 to procure a new commissioned child and young person's emotional health and wellbeing service. C, Cabinet approval, if is granted, allowing a delegated decision for the contract award in accordance with the PCR 2015 by the Director for Children and Families and the Director for Health and Care to the successful provider following the competitive tender process. And D, Cabinet approval is granted for the Cabinet Member for Children and Young People to make a delegated decision to extend the contract as per the contract's particulars for the extension periods after the initial term of the contract. The initial term of the contract will be for 2 years to the 31st of March 2027, with the 2 potential extension periods of 12 months to the 31st of March 2018 and 12 months to the 31st of March 2029.
Thank you, Councillor Sutton. Sorry, what was that, Councillor Wilson? You didn't get those. Do you want me to ask him to do them again? No? All those in favour?
Agreed.
That is unanimous. Right, we're moving on then to the Integrated Performance Report, Quarter 1. I'm delighted to present the Integrated Performance Report, Quarter 1 to Cabinet. It's brought to you by myself and Councillor Parry, the Cabinet Member for Finance and Resources. This is a way of reporting data on the Council which I think is more transparent, it's easier to understand, it allows us to be held to account for the performance of the authority, and I'm hoping to hear from Cabinet members with their their portfolios, just to explain to members of the public that might be watching precisely where the challenges lie in your portfolio and indeed where the successes are, where we have many, many successes to report. So with that, Councillor Parry, if you could do the meat of the report, I'd be very grateful.
Thank you, Leader. And as you say, this is the first, the Q1 report of this financial year, and with our performance reporting in this new format. I want to give some headlines in terms of finance. So at the first quarter end, we have an overspend of 5 million, and that's if the kind of spending run rate was continued at that level. What's really pleasing to note, though, underneath that headline, is that the budget is completely balanced throughout the organisation, except in the couple of areas that we are aware of and expect to have some financial pressures around them whilst it's going through transition. And of course, those are the notable examples of children's services, where we have a transformation programme in flight, and we've already seen improvements made and the number of children come to the care system. But as my colleague will no doubt explain, the costs and complexities of some of the children in care are where we are experiencing most of that pressure. Nevertheless, there are plans in place to arrest those costs. There are strategies in place in terms of building some of our own provision to support some of that strategy. So we expect that to be something which will continue to exercise our minds and worry us for some time yet, whilst we're going through that transition. So therefore, we do expect that to be a pressure on the budget. That's also, in addition to that, we've also got education services such as SEND, homeschool transport, etc., which again going through some transition, going through some challenge, but we are on top of. So that really, in entirety, accounts for that overspend of 5 million. What's really pleasing, though, is every other area of the council maintains that level of solid, sound financial budgetary management and supervision that we are able to, therefore, report, I think, a very satisfactory position at Q1. What's also interesting in terms of our financial position, Leader, is that today we're able to confirm, hopefully with the approval of Cabinet, further investment in both our highways recovery plan, which is a plan we've put in place to attack the difficulties that our highways came under during a very severe winter and spring period, which caused significant damage. And I don't think we are on our own across the country in terms of rural counties that have faced a difficult winter period that's really caused a backlog of maintenance and defect issues. So today we're going to approve, I'm going to recommend to Cabinet that we increase another 800 million into that contingency, 800,000 into that contingency budget. I wish. 800,000 into that contingency budget, but also, colleagues, bigger number here, of bringing forward £5.170 pounds from our capital fund. It wasn't £5. Did we? £5.170 million pounds brought forward from our capital programme into the Phase 3 investment programme, which will again help us in that highways recovery of addressing those roads which are in need of repair. And bringing forward that investment, I think we will see a significant difference in the conditions of our highways and preparing them for the winter ahead if future winters follow the same profile as the one we've just had. Therefore, Chair, Leader, we'll hand back to you to highlight some of the things through my colleagues on other areas of performance and improvement.
I'm going to go first to Councillor Sutton, but I'm just going to say a few words about education and SEND. It's the King's speech this morning, and there have been some really challenging times for local authorities with education and special educational needs. It has been a drum that people who now make the current government up have been banging, as well as us, for some time, which is to make sure that special educational needs is properly funded. And we need to see the proper funding of special educational needs. If the education portfolio holder was here right now, because he's unavailable today because he's not well, he'd be making this point too. We can't, governments cannot, from a position of opposition, criticise sitting governments about the amount of money that goes into education and SEND and then not do something about it. And I do hope that we see some progress towards funding for special educational needs. In addition, my entire time, pretty much, as a county councillor in Staffordshire, we've been asking for fair funding for our children in schools. Children in London boroughs get a significantly greater amount of money per year than children in a shire county. And a group known as F40 came together to say, actually, let's have a look at how that funding is allocated to make sure that we have sufficient funding for our children. It's about giving our children the right start in life. It's about making sure that they have a fair go at a good education that's properly funded, and I would like to see some response to that in the King's speech. The government's got the opportunity this morning to see if they're going to address that. I appreciate there's a lot in the King's speech, but I'm speaking on behalf of Councillor Price in his absence, just making those points and hoping to see some progress in that direction. With that, I'm going to turn to initially Councillor Sutton and then Councillor Pert.
Thank you, Leader. And as the portfolio holder for finance pointed out, the pressure within this Q1 return is mainly around children's services, and within children's services, the pressure is undoubtedly around the costs around placements of children in care. Now, the actual care numbers have continued through really good, hard work and dedicated work by our staff to reduce over the past 12 months. They are down now to a position of 77 children in every 10,000. That's not quite at the level of our statistical neighbours, but it's certainly heading very much in the right direction. And that work surrounds ensuring that we try where we possibly can to work with children and families to keep those children at home where it is safe to do so. And when that is not the case and they do have to come into our care, that we look for appropriate families with foster carers to be able to place them in loving homes, because we know that's where generally the better outcomes are for children. But where we have to, and it's right to do so, we place some children in residential care. And as the portfolio holder mentioned, we are looking at opportunities to be able to make that market more competitive and offer better solutions to some of our children, and in doing so, that actually also being a little bit more financially viable. So that work continues, and it continues in together with the work that we are doing to ensure that this authority's children's services are good. We have a comprehensive plan around the Ofsted inspection, the ILAC inspection, that is well on track, and looking to see that all the recommendations that were made in there are addressed, and that will take a little bit of time, but we are working at pace with that through improvement boards, and working particularly closely with some of the partners that we work with in Stafford, who have a very, very major role to play in helping us with that to achieve for children that we get involved in the very best outcomes and ensuring that they have a really good start in life and the opportunities that we would wish for all our children. Thank you, Leader.
Thank you, Councillor Sutton. Councillor Pert.
Thank you, Leader. And I'd just like to start by thanking everyone, yourself and everyone around the table for a warm welcome to the new role, which also includes a warm welcome from the officer team. So thank you for that. I also wanted to recognise the good work of the authority and all of the support that it offers within health and care. In addition to my work in the county today, I'm going to be at the Dignity and Care Awards, and reflecting that for many people in care, it's not a choice of their own. And so recognising the work, often unpaid work, of our carers is a really important thing for us to be doing. The Dignity and Care Awards is going to celebrate this evening the work of individuals, teams and organisations, paid and unpaid, within the adult care sector, and to celebrate the best practices in promoting dignity in care. If I could start this morning by just reflecting very briefly on where we start from. And some of the opportunities and challenges that we face. I think the first place to start would be the growing population challenge that we see. If you look at the population growth within Staffordshire between 2001 and 2021, it's grown by 70,000 people, but that's principally in the age group 65 and above. If you then project forward the growth in population between 2041, another 20 years further on, there's going to be another 80,000 people within the population within Staffordshire, and again, principally within the age group 65 and above. And what that is doing is putting greater pressure on our services. And particularly when you look at the impact on healthy life expectancy. And we're not seeing that growth in healthy life expectancy. What we're seeing is a growth in life expectancy, which means people are spending longer, often within health and care services. The second trend that we're seeing is growing an increase in acuity of people when they present to both the health and care services. And that also puts additional challenges on those service providers. I think we should recognise the importance that people take themselves in looking after their own health. And not needing the care and support of local and central government, because I think that if people look after their own health and care, that gives an opportunity for the best use of the services that we have. I think there is a requirement for us to improve the integration between health and care, and that's certainly something that I will be looking to work strongly on and to continue the good work that's going on there. And finally, I'd like to recognise the work with partners to support people in health and care and across the whole of their care system. And I will continue to be doing the work to ensure that we're CQC ready in due course. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Pert. Councillor DeVille.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. And thanks to Mr Parry for bringing this report today. And as my colleague mentioned in his introduction, we are still presenting a balanced budget. The presentation of a balanced budget enables us to embark on facing the challenges that my colleague Councillor Pert was speaking of, and I also welcome Councillor Pert to his new role. Those challenges, we could only take them on board if we are based on a balanced budget. So I greatly welcome this report. In this world of highways, Chairman, massive challenges. The balanced budget enables us and gives us the basis for looking at the structure of our highways, on making structural improvements, and also, importantly, on making highways maintenance improvements. In other words, fixing more defects, fixing more roads. With regard to our structural maintenance programme, I'm absolutely delighted, Chairman, to see that major works are being completed in Stafford, in Burton-on-Trent, in Cannock and in Codsall. And a couple of weeks ago, I was on site in Burton to see the Derby Road project completed. Absolutely delighted there. The people of Burton will be delighted to see high quality work, major improvements to that area of Burton, and the project was completed on time. These structural maintenance programmes are essential in looking after the long-term structure of our roads. And current projects in progress are in Lichfield, Biddulph, Stafford and Newcastle. So that's the structural side. They are major projects. And I know with these schemes that are in progress now in Lichfield, Biddulph, Stafford and in Newcastle, I fully understand the frustrations that people may have when they see temporary lights and they see work being carried out. But I know, Chairman, that people will understand that these schemes not only improve the structure of our roads, they also in many cases improve road safety and they enhance the local economy. So I again ask for people, apologise for any disruption, and I know the frustrations, but I do ask people to be patient with us and work with us on making these essential improvements. With regard to maintenance projects that we're currently carrying out right across Staffordshire, we've had 10 operational crews working on repairing more roads since April, and I'm delighted to say, colleagues, that 8 more crews are joining and working on repairing our roads during July. Total patching work that we've already completed is 50,000 square metres. These are only numbers, I know, but we've completed 8,000 pothole repairs. And I know, Chairman, that these are only numbers. But I think what is absolutely key is that we've got 8 additional crews working on our roads this month. And I think the important thing is that our residents will see visible improvements to our roads as these crews work to repair our roads. So a lot going on with the major projects and with the project to improve our roads. And we can only do this because we've got a balanced budget and we are wise and prudent custodians of our taxpayers' money.
Thank you. Councillor Tagg.
Thank you, Leader. I think we're set fair and on course with our climate change and net zero plans during this quarter and going forward. I think some of the highlights is working closely with our district colleagues on our plans for net zero, and also working on the rollout of electric vehicle charging points, and that's coordinating that along with our districts and boroughs, and obviously allowing the private sector to deliver that, and that's taken strides forward during the quarter as well. I think also we will be refreshing our climate change action plan, so that's underway at the moment, and in the autumn we're bringing back our plans for the next period. But as I say, on course with what we want to do on climate change, working with partners, doing what we need to do, and also, which we've got later on the agenda, is the Green Loan Scheme, which is on the back of our plans to help business to reach net zero and give them all the support that they need to help them to cut their emissions. On waste management, I think a good picture overall. We are moving forward on plans to get to zero waste through our circular economy plans, which were revealed to the Sustainability Board at our last meeting, and also will be coming to Cabinet later in the year. The success story of our household waste recycling sites goes on, with use from the public increasing. Also, the permit scheme working really well that we brought in. And also, I think when we've had issues such as the Wombourne issue in South Staffs, we've managed to get alternative arrangements in place. It's taken longer than some residents would want, but we do have alternative places, and then we'll be receiving more information on the future of the Wombourne site later in the year. But I think set fair as well in the waste management area, and this with our partners across the county, we are reviewing our waste strategy to go forward, and that will include raising our recycling rates and getting over 50%. As you can see on the chart that's attached to this, we have a green and going in the right direction when it comes to recycling rates. But also, with the amber there, that means that we need to do better, and the new strategy will aim to get us with our partners. We don't do it alone, obviously. Get over 50% of recycling, which I'm sure residents of our county want to see, and something which we need to do if we want to minimise the waste we put into, obviously, the incinerator at Four Ashes and up to in Handford, up in the north. So nothing further to add on that, but I think a good set of indicators for my area.
Councillor Wilson, the Cabinet Member for Fun and Enjoyment across Staffordshire.
That's with a capital F, just so you're aware. Thank you very much. I'd like to reiterate the words of our dear leader in relation to the marvellous library service that we have here in this county, and the investment thereof in Lichfield and Burton and Tamworth as examples, and the future-proofing of more, including Leek and Wombourne. That's a project that I'm looking forward to completing. And as the leader says, our summer reading challenge is in full swing, helping to educate children throughout the summer holidays, where we know that the reading challenge really helps to pick up the slack while school's out. As has already been mentioned, we're in the very early stages to improve our well-loved and very well-used Staffordshire Way, as well as major investments in our country parks, including Chasewater and Cannock Chase. Contracts for those feasibility studies are now out to tender, both on track to commence in the late summer as planned, and the public rights of way review continues with an initial outline of proposals to be completed by September. There's a community strategy ongoing. The work's there is in place this month to develop research and scope for a future community strategy and potential engagement exercise with residents and partners. And the aim of this is to reach as many people as possible through this engagement, with special focus on those that we call the seldom heard groups and young people in this county, and scoping work continues on that. And the most exciting thing for me just now, this quarter, we're getting closer and closer to the completion of our new history centre here in Stafford, and the opening of that, which we look forward to at the end of the year. It feels like absolutely years of preparation, but it's great news, not just for the regeneration of this county town, but also for the people of this county who, as it becomes more and more clear, have a real profound interest in knowing more about the history of Staffordshire and much more about where they come from themselves. And construction is very much on track on that one. So all of this really has been made possible because of the great work that's been done by this county council, by our cabinet member for finance, and by Mr. Shakespeare, who I think celebrates a year, I don't know if I'm right there, about a year back in the county council, so that's good. It really helps to promote the health and the education of people here, and the volunteering opportunities as well, which also relieve pressure on other services, and this really can't be overrated. Challenges, none this quarter particularly. Our delivery and our finance ratings are green. Thank you, Leader.
Very well done, Councillor Wilson. Councillor White, and then back to Councillor Parry for summing up on the recommendations, please.
Yeah, thank you very much, Leader. As I've provided an economic update today, I'll keep it brief. The performance of our economies and skills portfolio is green in the report, and there is strong delivery there. One thing I will highlight, which I didn't discuss in my report earlier, is the ongoing excellent work of We Are Staffordshire in terms of promoting Staffordshire as a place to live, work and and to enjoy through tourism. Our Staffordshire Ambassador Network is now standing at over 300 members, and the reach of We Are Staffordshire is ever growing. As an aligned initiative to that, we're now in the process of rolling out a 3-year pilot for our Staffordshire Film Office, which is designed to attract film companies, so whether it's for TV or for cinema, to come and use the extensive geography and variety of Staffordshire to come and do their filming and spend money here in our economy. So really, really good work in terms of promoting Staffordshire. One other thing I will just touch on, and it speaks to Councillor DeVille's extensive report on the excellent work that we're doing to upgrade our road network in Staffordshire, and thank you very much for the Derby roadworks, which are quite close to where I live and are most welcome in Staffordshire. But we need that investment to continue, and it cannot come solely on the backs of the Staffordshire taxpayer. And I am very mindful, just as the leader mentioned regarding the King's Speech and funding for special educational needs, we really do need the government to confirm the funding that the previous government had announced to allow for continued improvements to our road network. We know that there is change to the planning regime coming, which will place additional housing in areas such as Staffordshire. And that really does need to come with infrastructure investment, not only in roads, but first and foremost in our roads. And I think that is something that we will need to hear from government about as soon as possible so that we can continue to do that good work. Thank you, Leader.
Thank you. Before I hand back to Councillor Parry to sum up and give us the recommendations, I do want to highlight one aspect of the recommendations that is really, really important. And that is the bringing forward of capital funding for our highways. This isn't simply a process report reporting on our performance, but it's also a report that's making difference by adding further investment into the most important issue that residents have been telling us about of late, which is highways. So with that, Councillor Parry, if you'd like to sum up, please, and give us the recommendations.
Thank you. And forgive me if I don't address you as dear leader, which I found a bit too North Korean for my own tastes. But my colleagues welcome to continue. Leader, we're fine. If I may then make these recommendations, and do be aware that I've got my decimal points in the right place, colleagues, and that I remember the pound sign or the million sign. I recommend, therefore, to the Cabinet, or we recommend to the Cabinet, that the Cabinet notes and challenges the performance and advises of any further information or action required. And that Cabinet approves the £800,000 of revenue funding from the contingency budget in the delivery of the Highways Recovery Plan. And my addition, that in addition to the £8 million we announced in the May budget, today I recommend to Cabinet that it approves bringing forward a further £5.1 million into the 2024-25 budget in the phasing of phase 3 of the Highway Investment Plan for 2025-26 in support of delivering the Highways Recovery Plan. I make those recommendations, Leader.
Thank you, Councillor Parry, and very important recommendations indeed to support our efforts around highways, adding yet further funds to the Highways Challenge. All those in favour? Agreed. That is unanimous. Moving forward to then, going back to Councillor Parry for the Treasury Management Report for the year ended 31st of March 2024. Brought to you by the Cabinet Member for Finance and Resources, Councillor Parry. We're back with you, Councillor Parry.
Thank you. This report is an historic report. It reports, as we're required, to Cabinet and to Council our Treasury management strategy over the last 12 months. So this is that report of what's happened. Some of, therefore, the economic aspects of this report will seem like they are in the past, We still face, in terms of interest rates, that still seem relatively high, but obviously inflation, again, as we've recognised this morning, at the Bank of England forecast or target rates of 2%. So in terms of the macroeconomic picture, that's pretty similar to where it was. Some of the volatility out of the market has started to stabilise. So this report really is in two parts. Firstly, it's how we utilise cash balances, the cash that the council holds, and therefore, how we do our banking as a council. Our strategy around that, and the second part of this report, which is what we do with our borrowing and how we manage our borrowing. We have an investment strategy, a treasury management strategy, which is approved by council, and we have an investment board, a treasury management board, which is chaired by the Director of Finance, and we have our own internal specialist officers who sit on that and advise, along with our external advisors as well. They work within the envelope of that treasury management strategy and ensure that the investments of our cash balances are invested in secure AAA rated or other treasury approved type, or working within our strategy investments to make sure that our cash balances are held in secure institutions or places, and ensure that we limit and minimise any risk. Part of the job of treasury management is to monitor and manage risk, which I think we do very well here. The second part of this is how we therefore use our how we manage our borrowing, and what we've done in terms of in the past, given the differentials between interest rates on borrowing and interest rates on lending, there's obviously been a benefit to the council, and in the past we've saved approximately sort of £500,000 a year in using cash instead of borrowing to support our long-term capital borrowing requirements. So we've continued to do that. Obviously those savings, given the differential in terms of interest rates, haven't been as attractive, but they're still worth doing, and we'll continue to do that until that position changes. It also means that we've forgive me while I just get to the point of the it also means that the council has rescheduled some of our borrowing. The council has made an early repayment of debt during 23-24 of 50 million, resulting in an annual saving of around £200,000. And this is detailed in paragraph 31 of the report. I think that covers it, Leader, dear Leader. Willing to take any questions?
Thank you. We had momentum and then we appeared to lose it briefly, but nevertheless. Yeah. The importance of this report, it tends to be sort of, we tend to glide over it or gloss over it each time it comes forward, but it's actually a vitally important report, and it's made more important by the knowledge that local government audit, and this is the external auditors that come into local government to cast their eye over our finance, is in crisis. And this has been before the Levelling Up Housing and Communities Committee in government. The chair, just before Christmas, Member of Parliament Clive Betts, the Labour Member of Parliament, said that, quotes, local audit is in crisis and the government must act to fix it. Serious delays in local audit mean that many councils are not fully sighted on problems while they make major financial and service decisions, with audit delays also leaving local taxpayers in the dark. The transparency that we have as a local authority by publishing these sort of reports, making sure that everybody is aware of what our finances look like, how we are investing our money, making sure we get our money back, goes some way to give public reassurance that in Staffordshire we are managing our money well, and I'm very grateful to Mr Shakespeare and his team and yourself, Councillor Parry, for that close management of those funds. But once again, I take us back to the contents of the King's speech. There's quite a few things that need to be done in local government. I talked earlier about funding for special educational needs and education in general, but also helping us ensure that local government audit is in the right place so that we can have full transparency and an audited set of accounts across Staffordshire, including our district and borough colleagues, so that we can present to the public a set of accounts that we can rely on. That said, in the interim, we are very good at making sure that we're on top of our numbers, and I'm grateful to, as I said, Mr Shakespeare and his team, and Councillor Parry in particular, for your oversight for what has been for many years now. With that, if there's nobody else got any comments, Councillor Parry, I'll take you back for the recommendations, please.
Thank you. And whilst we do sometimes oversee this, I find this, in terms of the meetings that I have with the finance team, one of the most interesting ones, because they are really interesting economists, skilled people who are very knowledgeable about risk and investments and things. And it really is. We should bring them to this meeting. It really is a very interesting part of my portfolio. With that then, Leader, I will make these recommendations that I recommend to Cabinet that the Treasury Management activities for the year 31st of March 23, including the prudential indicators outturn detailed in Appendix 4, be noted, and that Cabinet note and approve the use of the minimum revenue provision at the 31st of March 2024 of £20 million, £20.275 million, as set out in paragraphs 32 and 33, which refer to the regulations that we must make a minimum revenue provision on our repayment of debt.
Thank you. All those in favour? Agreed. For the record, that is unanimous. Final agenda item is agenda item number 11, the Green Loan Fund, brought to you by the Deputy Leader and Cabinet Member for Economy and Skills, Councillor White.
Thank you very much, Leader. So the Green Loan Fund, Green Solutions Programme, is a scheme that was created by the Department for Energy Security and Net Zero. A really good scheme which is there to offer small and medium-sized businesses energy efficiency audits to identify ways that they could make their businesses more productive and more green simultaneously, with 50% match funding for them to implement solutions within their businesses up to a funding level of £100,000. So it's a really significant scheme and a really welcome one. We have partnered with the West Midlands Combined Authority to spend the allocation of funding in the West Midlands area. And this, I should just note, is another example of Staffordshire County Council working with other councils to spend funding that's been allocated to them. This money came to the Combined Authority and they came to us to help them to make sure that it gets out to businesses, something that we've done in the past with other partner authorities. Now, this scheme is going really well. So it's a programme to deliver 300 of these assessments across Staffordshire. The uptake has been really good, but we have identified an issue with it, which is that many of the businesses who have benefited from the audits do not have the 50% match funding to implement the measures that are identified for their businesses. Now, that is not an ideal situation. These are interventions that can make those businesses more productive and grow the Staffordshire economy, as well as decarbonising it. So what we have looked to do, and the proposal that is before you today, is our answer to helping those businesses to cash flow this activity by repurposing one of the legacy Stoke and Staffordshire Local Enterprise Partnership fund schemes, which is the Growing Places Fund, which has been a success in its own right, but is now a legacy fund, which has transferred to Staffordshire County Council and Stoke-on-Trent City Council as the successors to the Stoke and Staffordshire LEP. Our proposal is that we utilise £1.4 million, which remains in that Growing Places Fund, to provide loans to businesses to enable them to provide match funding for these efficiency interventions where they're unable to meet that themselves. These loans to be repayable to the council, of course. This is a proposal which will need to be approved both by this council and by the Cabinet of Stoke-on-Trent City Council. But I think it's a very solid proposal. It's what local government should be in the business of doing, which is enabling economic activity to happen, and where there is a block to that, and where we can provide an intervention that the market can't provide itself, and where there is benefit to the Staffordshire economy that we look to do so. I think this is a very good example of that. I'll pause there, Leader, to allow anyone who wants to ask any questions, and then I can move on to the recommendations when you're ready.
Councillor Tagg.
Thank you, Leader. Yes, speak in support of this, as I did earlier when we were looking at the performance days. I think a really good scheme is the Green Solutions, and we were taking that forward, as the Deputy Leader has said, but there is this barrier to firms moving forward on implementing those productivity measures and green measures, and this will help them to do that earlier rather than later. I think the only question is, of course, we are going to agree this today by the looks of it. Obviously, we are pending the Cabinet's decision in Stoke-on-Trent City Council. Just to ask a question, if they do not back this, is there a mechanism for us to use our share of the LEP legacy funding to ensure it happens in Staffordshire?
Thank you, Councillor Tagg. I would need to take some legal advice on that. I believe the answer is no, though. I think we need unanimity to be able to spend this particular funding. However, if this were not to come forward, then we would have to look at other ways of trying to achieve the same aim. But I think it needs to be 2 ticks.
Nobody else is indicating, Councillor White, so if you can give us the recommendations.
Okay, thank you very much, Leader. So I recommend to Cabinet that we allocate £1.4 million of the Growing Places Fund to make interest-free loan awards to eligible SMEs within Staffordshire and Stoke-on-Trent to enable the purchase of green technologies recommended in audits undertaken through the Green Solutions programme. And, as we've just discussed, this is subject to Cabinet approval at Stoke-on-Trent City Council as well.
All those in favour?
Agreed.
That is unanimous. Right, agenda item number 12 is the forward plan of key decisions. In September and in public, options appraisal for contracting mechanisms for alternative provision for children and young people, brought to you by the Cabinet Member for Education and Send, Councillor Price. Staffordshire and Stoke-on-Trent Economic Strategy and Consultation Draft, brought to you by the Cabinet, the Deputy Leader of Council and the Cabinet Member for Economy and Skills, Councillor White. Community Strategy, brought to you by the Cabinet Member for Communities and Culture, Councillor Wilson. Intelligent Transport System Maintenance Contract, brought to you by the Cabinet Member for Strategic Highways, Councillor DeVille. Recommissioning of contract arrangements for the supply of residential and nursing care home placements, brought to you by the Cabinet Member for Health and Care, Councillor Pert. Delivery plan and updates for the Housing with Care Strategy and Daycare Services, brought to you by the Cabinet Member for Health and Care, Councillor Pert. That's 2 reports that are a real mouthful, Councillor Pert, and can tighten those up. That'd be good. And then again in public, Staffordshire Cultural Strategy, brought to you by the Cabinet Member for Communities and Culture, Councillor Wilson. Resettlement Team, brought to you by the Cabinet Member for Communities and Culture, Councillor Wilson. North Staffordshire Local Air Quality Plan, brought to you by the Cabinet Member for Strategic Highways, Councillor DeVille. Zero Waste, Staffordshire County Council's Journey to a Circular Economy, brought to you by the Cabinet Member for Environment, Infrastructure and Climate Change, Councillor Tagg. In private, additional nursing capacity, brought to you by the Cabinet Member for Health and Care, Councillor Pert. That's going to be a big meeting in September. Into October, in public, Nexus LATCO Review, brought to you by the Leader of Council. Integrated Performance Report, Quarter 2, 24-25, brought to you by myself and Councillor Parry, I presume. Again in public, Supported Living Commissioning Update, brought to you by the Cabinet Member for Health and Care, Councillor Pert. In private, unregulated placement update brought to you by the Cabinet Member for Children and Young People, Councillor Sutton. Moving forward to November, in public, recommissioning of the contract arrangements for children's community support, including domiciliary care, brought to you by the Cabinet Member for Children and Young People, Councillor Sutton. Re-procurement of integrated community equipment in Staffordshire, brought to you by the Cabinet Member for Health and Care, Councillor Pert. And then moving forward into December, medium-term financial strategy 25 to 30, brought to you by myself and the Cabinet Member for Finance and Resources. Gosh, that's come around quickly. And that is the forward plan. It's going to be a very, very busy autumn. So look forward to working through all that. With that, ladies and gentlemen, agenda item 13, exclusion of the public. There are no items in confidential, so that is the meeting concluded. Thank you very much indeed.